Back for the featured segment, we're talking about onboarding tips and tricks, I guess, onboarding features, a whole bunch of different things. So, Ken, I've been in the game long enough to remember when Business Central was called Project Madura. And back then, one of the features that they talked about was allowing partners. Yeah, I've been in the game that long. And one of the features back then that Microsoft actually talked about that I thought was actually pretty cool was where partners could actually add something to the welcome portion. And it wasn't called a welcome banner back then, but the welcome portion on the role center, or they could add a message or whatnot. Well, it seems now that that might have come to fruition. We can actually do a couple of those things, and so the welcome banner now on the role center, it actually, it does exactly that. It welcomes users to Business Central, and it's supposed to provide like a clear call to action and maybe have a checklist on it or whatnot, so that users can start certain tasks and finish that the partner thinks that they need to do or that the partner wants them to do. So on this welcome banner, you're going to see a checklist that can be customized through AL code, which I wasn't a fan of because I couldn't get in there really and test it out.
Right.
But so with the code, it points to the records in the guided experience item table. And so for example, if you want to have a checklist, item that reads, listen to the latest episode of A Shot in Business Central. Right?
Smart.
With that.
Smart.
Yeah. You got to actually go and create a learn record in the guided experience item table that will point you to a URL. From there, you can go into the checklist administration page and then set your guided experience types to line it up and add it to the actual welcome banner. So forgive me, if I'm a tad bit wrong with explaining the developer part of this.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing is that partners or app developers can extend that standard messaging.
Yes,
right.
You can customize it.
Notifications and banners and things can be tailored to add your own tips and suggestions and instructions.
Right. So if you've got something that you want every customer to know, you can create a generic extension for, to add it to the welcome banner for every new customer you see to have it. Or, if you want to get more personal and take more time, you can do it for each individual customer.
Yeah, like a good example that I've seen is if you start with a brand new clean Business Central company, and you open up the customer list page, you get a little notification up on the banner, and it says, "We noticed you don't have any customers. Would you like to import them now?" And you can click on a link, and it will take you to a page where you can work on a template and import customers.
So that's actually
that type of thing, right?
Right. So stuff like that's fairly like they have teaching tips now. They have spotlight tours. They have tours. So when you're on the actual Business Central page, every now and then you might see in the bottom left-hand corner a tip come up that says, I don't know. It maybe tells you about how to add additional users or whatever it is, like you were saying.
Yep.
So it might be in the bottom left-hand corner. There might be a teaching tip in the top that tells you, something else that teaches you whatever. So those are all new things. Now, some of those can't be customized. I think the tour right now currently can only be added by Microsoft, but they're considering giving people who do AL code power to actually edit these.
Yep.
But, so within these, you can link to videos, application features, manual setups, the assisted setups, whatever it may be. So it's not too bad. I think that, to me, and I know you disagree with me, these are more like the finishing, onboarding things, right? Because I think that these are the easiest things that you could actually do and probably should be done last. But I'm not, somebody who handles implementation or whatnot. You're actually saying it's probably some of the first things you should do, right?
Well, I think that if you're doing it for an app, or you're doing it as a partner, right, to provide instructions to people, it possibly could be the finishing touches at the end. If you are just beginning your implementation of Business Central, this is the beginning of the road. These are the first few steps you're taking.
All right.
It is far from the finishing touches, right? Now, if you, but take example of an app, right? You've created an app. You can, right, as an app developer, you can set it up so that when you install the app, you can populate certain tables with data, or have an assisted setup tool that they run through, and it sets up stuff and configures stuff. Okay. And then as a last step, when they open the customer page or some page, it gives them a tip on, oh, hey, now that you've got this all set, here's a little tip for you. You can now click here and do this.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Right. So that in that regard,
that makes sense.
But in terms of general onboarding, I think of onboarding a new client onto Business Central. New company is implementing Business Central. Yeah. These things are all nice. Teaching tips, right? You mentioned little box pops up and shows you something, and you can see it.
To me, those should be implemented, I guess, after it's up and running. And because you're using for the end users, because you're in there using it, and then the teaching tip pops up. Yeah. Now,
just and if you are using Business Central and you're getting teaching tips and you don't like them, you can go into My Settings and you can turn off teaching tips.
Really?
Which is the first thing I did after about 30 minutes of using Business Central.
But you're also a guru of Business Central.
Well, I did. I have used it before.
Yeah, exactly.
But my point, there is a little toggle where you can turn off teaching tips. I think you then have to close and reopen, and it makes that change.
All right. So when you hear the word onboarding, what do you kind of think of? Is it like a data migration thing, or is it?
Well, that's part of it. Yeah. So when I think of onboarding someone on a new company onto Business Central, I think about more like what's available on the Rapid Start Role Center page. So one of the profiles that you can pick that's out of the box is called Rapid Start. That is designed for implementation. And there's a few things that are on here that are very helpful. Up on the top on the ribbon, you have a worksheet. The worksheet kind of organizes your master data. So for example, master data, you have customers, items, vendors, chart of accounts. Then you have some setup tables, general ledger setup, sales and receivables setup, inventory setup. Then you get into all your posting groups. Then you get into sales tax maybe. Then you get into payment methods and payment terms, right? So there's this worksheet is a way that you can view, and you can also edit it. You can delete things maybe you're not using. You can add things you are using. You can also assign a responsible user to complete it and track a status. So you could say, here's we need to set up our posting groups here. And the status of this is in progress or completed or ignored or blocked, and who's responsible for it. You also have access to the list of all the tables in the database and the number of records in there. There are packages, access to your configuration packages, import and export tools using Excel to migrate your data. And those are things like importing customers, importing vendors, items.
Is this something generally that customers or end users, what are going to call, do by themselves, or is this something they do in conjunction with their partner? Or does it just depend on the customer?
Yeah. So the first thing I would tell you, unless the Rapid Start Role Center is the default role center for a new user, when you set them up in a new instance or new environment of Business Central,
not, right?
I don't know how in the hell a user would know that this Rapid Start Role Center exists.
Teaching tip, try out the Role Center.
Custom teaching tip. There you go.
Try out the different experiences.
Right. Yeah. In terms of onboarding, you're starting, there are all of these great tools, right? These are things that are here that weren't here 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that every partner had to come up with a way to manage these. An Excel spreadsheet, a set of data ports that they had created that they could reuse. And by the way, Mr. Customer, you've got to have your customers in this exact format. Yeah. And then we can import them using our data ports that we've developed. Now with configuration packages, you can go in and you can pick which columns or which data fields you want to include, what order those are going to be in, export your template, copy and paste your data, and import it, right?
Nice.
There's also templates, setup templates. So once you get your customers, or if let's say you're going to be manually setting up your vendors because you only have 70 vendors, and you're like, I'm just going to manually key them in, and that way I can clean up the data.
Okay.
We can set up a vendor template that fills in most of these fields for you. So all you really need to fill in is their name, address, contact, email, phone number.
Pretty basic.
And all the posting groups, payment terms, codes, payment methods, all that
gets brought in.
Fills in automatically for you.
Nice.
Again, now a typical end user organization who just goes out to Business Central, gets their own license and thinks they're going to do all of this and know how to fill in all these fields.
Not going to happen.
0% chance.
Yeah.
Sorry. Now, am I saying that you need to be heavily reliant on a Microsoft partner to get this system up and running? No.
Just need some guidance.
By no means, but you need some guidance, right? Imagine, here's the analogy, right? If I put you in a room, I put a blindfold on you and I spin you around a bunch of times on your own, and I give you one chance to get to the door, but you've got a blindfold on. What are the odds that you're going to walk directly towards that door? Is it possible? Yes.
Yeah.
But what are the odds? Are stacked against you.
Got to have luck on your side.
Now, with a Business Central partner in your corner, right? I'm blending analogies.
Yeah.
Right? That partner can point you in the right direction, right? So now you have a much better chance, a significantly better chance that you're going to be able to walk straight and hit that door.
It's a great analogy because there's a lot of people who think that they can do it themselves.
Right.
They don't need help from anybody. We got this.
Now, some people will want their partner not just to push them in the right direction, but maybe hold their hand and walk them to the doorway.
Yeah.
Okay, that's more of a white glove service, like full service implementation plan, and that actually, I mean, that's still probably something most companies need.
Yeah.
But we're seeing more and more companies out there now that with just some general guidance and consulting from a company, a partner, with all of these onboarding tools that exist, it's significantly easier and faster to get Business Central deployed.
Yeah.
Right.
Still needs some help though, but yes.
Yeah. I hope you like my analogy.
I love the analogy. I think that we will definitely clip it in this podcast and put that out as its own little soundbite.
Yeah.
It's a great analogy because it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So
you need a partner in your corner, kind of making sure you're marching in the right direction. Right. And at different point, not the whole way even, right? It could be at different points. Hey, we got to this point and we're struggling with this.
Right.
Can you help us? Are we on the right road here? Yeah. Are we thinking this through correctly, or do we need to rethink what we're trying to accomplish here and move in a different direction?
What would you say the percentages of people who come in and are like, we can set this all up 100% by ourselves. We don't need your help. What would you say the percentages that they feel? It's 100%.
That think they can do that?
100%.
It's higher than it should be. I don't know what the number. Not the majority. The majority of people understand. I mean, it's a mid-market, robust ERP solution, right? Manufacturing, MRP.
When you get into that,
advanced warehouse managing with directed pick and put away capabilities, right? Full inventory management, financials. Online
they
banking.
have an understanding. They know.
There's a lot here. This is not QuickBooks, right? I'll just say it.
Very true. Or GP.
You know, if you think you need to be running on QuickBooks, then stick with QuickBooks, right? This is significantly more powerful, more feature rich, and you can grow a much larger business running Business Central.
Any other tips for onboarding or anything else you can think of that makes a that you like to discuss with onboarding?
No, those are the key things. I think, I think we covered the fact that there are, I guess the key thing is, be aware that there are these onboarding tools out there. There's also assisted setup. We missed that. Assisted setup is a page in Business Central. There's several features such as like Power BI integration where they may not be enabled out of the box. So you go into the assisted setup page, you can go, oh yeah, I want to enable this feature. And you click on it and then you hit next, answer a few questions, maybe fill in a few fields, and now it helps you enable that feature. So
Nice.
That's come a long way. It's come a long way, and it's certainly made implementers of whether you're an internal implementer at a company or working with a partner that's helping a company, tons of tools to help people be more successful and do it more efficiently and faster. But still, I don't believe that
Not everyone
you'll
is out
ever
of
be
the
able
box
to do it without at least a little bit of guidance from someone who has a really solid understanding of how this works.
Makes complete sense.